how we study bacteria, bacterial pathogens in particular, those that cause disease, to try to understand more about our own biology. The picture you see here is one of a macrophage, a phagocytic cell, eating bacteria, and it almost looks as if it's sitting there eating a little bowl of peanuts, but the bacteria are being taken up and they're being killed. And we often think of host-parasite relationships in that way, but actually, likely the first time this happened in evolution, the bacteria weren't too happy about it, and they began to evolve ways to resist these phagocytic creatures and to them, and they began to become pathogens. So as humans and most animals, we're heir to a veritable sea of different microorganisms. You see here a picture of bacteria, and these are the smallest living organisms and the most numerous organisms that inhabit us. And they're simple things. You can see that they sometimes have organelles of motility, these flagella, these large cables that come out of them, but they're fairly simple. But they're free living and they replicate quickly. We also have viruses, which are more molecular entities that require entry into cells in order to survive, and they parasitize the cells and they replicate and they end up killing the cell. And sometimes we handle this burden successfully, and other times we become quite ill from them. In many parts of the world, no longer in the United States very often, people also have larger parasites. So you can see here that there is a hookworm, and there are tapeworms, there's a blood fluke, and there are even protozoa that live in the intestinal tract. And these very often are silent, but sometimes they're killers. And most of you sitting there are not thinking that at this moment you may have insects grazing in your eyebrows, but many of you do. And this little creature loves to be in eyebrows and is in the hair and of many of you. And there are other kinds of insects and so on that live in more intimate parts as well. All of these go up to make the normal flora. Mostly it's microbial cells that make up the flora. And it's important to understand that you have 10 times more microbial cells than you do human cells. And that tends to make us look in the microbial population with a little more respect than we did before, I think. Most of the microorganisms that make up our flora, we have never grown. We only know about them because we can use genetic and molecular techniques, but we're learning more and more about them every day. And they come in a variety of sizes, shapes. Some are rods, some are spiral, some are round cocci. And there are literally thousands of these microorganisms that inhabit us. And we acquire them virtually from the moment we're born, and they remain with us until we die, and then their last function is to consume us as a